What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Global Esports Cup here on the GameShow Dota 2 English channel. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by Lyrical Gangster for the last game of the day, Commander AFK going up against ESB, and hopefully everyone is here. No one's making a ban, but yeah, it's been a long road, and this is going to, I think, knock someone out.
It's been a really cool one, and I feel like for me, one of the stories that has sort of been evolving over this period of time has been the minus armor heroes. You saw the TA do an incredible job throughout some of the earlier games that we had, and then later on, Clinks picking up and sort of consistently dominating with the Death Zone. I believe that we had both Mom G as well as Esco pick up a Clinks at various stages in this tournament here, and really gone ham with it. It's been pretty impressive to see.
Yeah, a lot of Clinks, a lot of Templar Assassin play, and it's been pretty solid across the board. ESB just had a really grindy game at the end of the last game was really grindy. They were just kind of struggling to end it out, and Commanda, they've been, in the couple more decisive games, let's say, so maybe a little bit more fresh for them, and as ESB, maybe a little bit more fatigued. Don't know how much that's actually going to play into things, but maybe ESB gonna try to step away from that strategy that they were running last time. And, well, I mean, first of all, try to grab some powerful heroes. Commanda are taking a long time to actually do this. They're
So
kind of all disconnecting.
something that I was kind of interested in here was, you mentioned the long grindy game by ESB that they just played, and it was again with the Clinks having to split push, just sort of continually throw their bodies at the enemy base. And in the end, it worked for them. They ended up playing a really good game, but that one just ended a couple of minutes ago. And to me, I wonder how much is it do they want to try and stick with what worked, or how much of it do they want to try and switch things up, get fresh, get excited about the game again? And I wonder how much those psychological things impact a player when they're taking a look at a draft. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, also Commanda beat ESB before. Like, that was the second game from this group, so... Or maybe the first game? Maybe the first game, I don't know. But either way, Commanda already have a victory under their belt, so it's going to be a little more comfortable with them just to progress as per normal, knowing that what is normal was enough to beat them last time, so it should be enough to beat them again. Got Shaker do the first pick for Commanda. No sick combinations with the Leaner or the Shrek. Those are both banned out, but ESB grab a Gyrocopter as their first. Usually it's going to be like a Winter Wyvern afterwards, but it's not available. The Undying also getting a rather early ban out there, but Gyrocopter, Clockwork, something like that, for a pretty strong opening for ESB, especially versus a Shaker or a Rubik.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see potentially a Dazzle here as well. Maybe wait till the second round of picks to be picking that one up. But depending upon what AFK ends up going for it as their next pick, if they pick something like a Quap or something else with that sort of long initiation combination with the, well, they end up going for the Witch Doctor. Interesting. That to me looks aggressive. That looks really aggressive. What do you think?
I mean, usually you can get a Witch Doctor a little bit later, unless it's like very clear that you're going for a Witch Doctor, but he's a support hero that typically falls between the cracks more often than not. It's a pretty good combo together with the Gyrocopter, but of course that means that a probably more powerful hero, the Clockwork, can be grabbed by Commanda. So, if you swap those up, I'd be a little bit more on board, but Witch Doctor this early, I'm not entirely convinced, because there's already a lot of things that'll cancel that channel of Death Ward.
Definitely. I mean, Tusk is still in the pool. You've got the possibility to just burst him down with a Quap. And honestly, just the directional stuns that you have there out of AFK. If Witch Doctor ends up picking up a Glimmer Cape to try and, be able to sit in the back and Glimmer Cape up, he can't really do that as effectively. You've got Battery Assault, you've got Hookshot, you've got Fissure, Enchant Totem, Echo Slam, all of these things that don't need to be targeted onto Witch Doctor to be able to break up his ultimate. So I'm curious if this is actually going to end up working out for them. Maybe they're ended up picking him to try and, have that heal there as well as the bongos to be able to, bounce around and create some type of early game advantage. They do ban out the Ancient Apparition as well and go for the Huskar. Third pick. Man.
You said aggressive. I think it's aggressive. I think it's a little bit aggressive. We saw an Ancient Apparition versus a Huskar previous. We saw a team handle a Huskar very well just by shutting him down so hard in the early stages. it does look like that's not impossible here for AFK, but it looks like it's going to be potentially a little bit more difficult in this particular game. Clockwork doesn't really fare that well up against the Huskar. Shaker as a fissure is nice, but then afterwards doesn't really do that much else. You really just need to overpower the Huskar with sheer damage early on if you're going to convincingly take care of him. Physical damage, obviously, a little bit preferable over magical. So for Commando, what's the selection? They need to try to apply as much aggressive power early on, but Huskar's going to go towards the mid lane. Clinks, TA, I mean, those are good heroes in theory at killing off Huskar, but 1v1 in a lane, not as much so.
Yeah, maybe a Viper potentially. Particularly in the early game, you're going to be able to. I talked about it in an earlier match that Huskar with the early levels of Burning Spears isn't really going to be able to do a ton of damage at you. He's going to take almost as much as he's dealing. And the Juggernaut, I think, is a pretty cool pick here for AFK to sort of counter the Huskar in the later stages of this game. But we are still looking for that other mid hero for AFK, not revealing it quite yet. I still do think that we could, we're still probably going to see another solo hero picked up here for ESB. There is always the potential for dual lanes, and Witch Doctor is a hero that can dual lane somewhat effectively. But a Dazzle here would be pretty strong for ESB potentially. We'll see if they do want to go for that. A lot of other options. Obviously, Huskar is pretty, oh, there they go for it, yep. I did say Dazzle, right?
Yeah, any ranged hero, support hero with Huskar is going to be pretty good. Dazzle Huskar works very well. Witch Doctor Huskar, a little bit more aggressively slanted, works very well also. So ESB running with dual lanes right now, definitely a possibility. Alternatively, just have a nice safe defensive tri-lane, or hell, even maybe an offensive tri-lane involved with these heroes. A lot of guesswork is going to be in the hands of Commanda to figure out where this is actually going to go, and Ancient Apparition ban looking really smart right now for ESB would have completely screwed them over if that one was to be selected. Canceling out 3 sources of heal, probably an armlet as well. That's big game there for the Ancient Apparition. Commanda grab a Bane. I believe this was a pick against the Huskar previous. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it was, yeah.
Yeah, Bane just to nightmare the Huskar, just to get him out of the picture. Has some pure damage as well. Has that brain sap, and if you're looking to kill off a Huskar who's surfing at 400-ish movement, 400-ish health, brain sap that does 300 is probably the best tool you're gonna find.
Definitely. I think that, I was actually going to mention Bane as another hero to be able to deal with him, particularly in lane. We'll see if that ends up working out. I think that the Witch Doctor is a pretty good answer to the Bane because he can't really solo kill alone, but with another hero, he's going to be able to. So if you have those bongos running around, being able to disrupt things, there's a pretty good answer to the Bane there. But simultaneously, you've also got the problem now of the Blade Fury coming out from the Juggernaut. I have a feeling that's why they ended up going there. I mean, when you pick the Juggernaut, for me, it's survivability, untargetability. That's really what you're looking for out of this hero, as well as just a massive burst of physical damage. So if they do end up running an aggressive trade lane for ESB with something like the Witch Doctor Dazzle Huskar and then leave the Gyrocopter fend for himself against the Clockwork, there is a potential there that Juggernaut might be able to do pretty well in that lane. We'll see how it goes. One last pick here for ESB, and either going to be a mid hero or a safe lane carry, depending upon where they want, or excuse me, or an off lane, depending upon what they want to do.
It's not the easiest thing to do to find a hero that satisfies both of those requirements, so ESB might not be able to keep Commanda guessing into their last pick, but that's going to be Storm Spirit. Okay, so a little more initiation. This is actually looking very similar to the game that we casted previously. A very aggressively slanted draft from ESB. Previously, it just didn't work out that well. I mean, there are a couple answers to the Storm Spirit in Commanda's side, and we have Wind Ranger as the last pick for them. Commanda are probably as well prepared as they can be for a Huskar. That's the disadvantage of picking him so early. You give the enemy team so much time to counterpick, and that's why we see the Bane, Wind Ranger, and the Juggernaut all being picked up in response to that Huskar. It seems like this Huskar, though he does have a lot of potential here, is going to run into quite a few obstacles. Some literal obstacles like the cogs, which Huskar really doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah. I think that for me, what this is might even end up being is whoever ends up getting more farm between the Witch Doctor or Dazzle is probably going to end up picking up an early medallion and then trying to sort of transition into getting this Huskar more armor. They're really, I feel like, kind of all in on him. And the way that AFK is dealing with that is they have a little bit of pure damage coming out from Bane just to be able to get the finish off, and then a good amount of physical damage, particularly with that Wind Ranger. Once she ends up getting a Blink Dagger, an Aghanim Scepter, you got the potential to jump on in there later in the stages of the game and, hit a Shackle and then follow it up with Focus Fire, and you just deal a ton of damage really quickly and pick off that Huskar. So I kind of like it. I'm curious where this is going to go, and it does look like it's going to be in an aggro tri-lane, although I'm not sure if it's going to be Huskar versus Clock or Gyro versus Clock. Although they could do duels too. Eh.
The flexibility is there. I don't think one is necessarily that much better than the other. Dual lanes will probably just be a little bit safer, I think. They probably get away with a little bit more if they decide to go for that, because tri-laning is just a little bit more all-in. So we'll see where these supports want to go, but let's see who's going to be playing what. First of all, we have Fake God on the Huskar going up towards top. Cold Seaman's going to be joining him as the Dazzle. Fozzie's going to be handling the Storm Spirit. We got Esco playing the Gyrocopter, and that leaves Mowgli on the Witch Doctor. It looks like by how they loaded out, it's going to be dual lanes.
Cool, cool. And meanwhile, starting down here in the bot lane, we have Pew Pew Pew, who's going to be playing that Clockwork for Team AFK. Mom G is going to be the Wind Ranger today. We got Z Cartmans is going to be playing the Earth Shaker. LMGD is going to be playing your Juggernaut today. And last but not least, Slander himself is going to be on that Bane. Is going to be potentially running into a couple of heroes up here in the top lane, Mr. Dazzle as well as the Huskar, but shouldn't be really that big of a deal. I don't think that they can really take him down as long as he just sort of walks away. Poison Touch isn't usually the thing that Dazzle ends up leveling up first to be able to slow him on down there. But
yeah, if it is a tri-lane up here, what it does is fights very well. It doesn't really pick off very well. The longer the fight goes on, the Dazzle gets a lot better, Huskar, and everyone gets a lot better in that lane. But if it's just going to be them catching someone out, it's not really that much CC to deal with that target. And the damage is rather slow to stack up, especially from a Huskar, who is going to have to also run in between those spear throws. So it seems like it's just going to be dual lanes, but still a 2v3 lane up on this top lane. It's a strong dual lane for ESB. It's not necessarily decisively stronger than the lane setup here from AFK. Like, Juggernaut's Blade Fury level 1 does a hell of a lot of damage, and he might not even have Berserker's Blood level 1, so this Huskar might just get chopped to pieces.
yeah, it could be really tough, definitely. And I think that a lot of what this is going to come down to is, one, how well those spins end up working, how well the Nightmares end up getting transferred over, and of course the Fissures are the big thing, and we're seeing a little bit of a connection there, wrong side of the Fissure.
That is kind of an elementary mistake to make there from Cartman, and it was also a mistake because Juggernaut spun, just expecting the Fissure to land. So they ended up wasting two pretty large, valuable spells on two heroes that, quite frankly, can't afford to lose the mana. So AFK kind of missing out on a big opportunity there. It looked like it was actually going to wall off Fake God, to me at least. But yeah, not going to happen this time. It is something that ESB really have to keep aware of, because you can't always depend on the Earthshaker to whiff his Fissure. Over towards the mid lane, Mom G gonna go toe-to-toe with Fozzie. This is a Wind Ranger favored matchup, albeit slightly, and not really significant enough to make it so that she's gonna get any solo kills or anything like that, or at least she shouldn't, but we've seen some weird stuff today.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Clockwork giving a nice little punch into the back of the Witch Doctor as he walks away from him. The normal thing that you're going to need to be careful of here in this lane as the Witch Doctor is the boots timing of that Clockwork. Just being very cognizant of when, where, and how quickly that ends up coming out. Because if you're caught over here in the jungle and Clockwork is able to run you down with the Battery Assault, that's a pretty quick kill there for him in the off lane. And that pretty much wins him the lane, or at least gets him enough that makes it all worth it.
Pew Pew right now only has one level of that, and this lane is not necessarily dangerous enough to warrant him going for maxed out Rocket Flare. So Boots now up, and Witch Doctor, well, he's going to be a little bit slower to grab that item. So, Clockwork with a little bit of a power advantage in this lane right now should be doing just fine to at least grab experience, whereas for this bottom lane, they are pretty darn scared. Another Fissure's going to land. That is a complete wall off, but No Juggernaut in the area, very far away, so even more mana out of the Earthshaker. He does have another Fissure very shortly, though, with the Clarity especially, so it's time for maybe round 3. Sentry Ward is going to get rid of the Pure Vision, and, well, Sentry Ward is going to be erased. Actually, the Dire do not win that one. Another Fissure going to wall off. Cold Team is put into a corner. Blade Fury is available. They're just going to beat him down with right clicks instead. Juggernaut draws first blood. They Nightmare Fake God just so that they don't take that extra bit of damage. And, well, it is the Dire to keep up their Sentry Ward.
Dazzle was so close to getting level 2 there, only about 1 or 2 creeps away, and had he been able to just play a little bit more safely with that position, he definitely would have been able to get away with that one. Probably perfectly fine with the Shallow Grave up, but so far doing a really good job up here in this top lane. The fact that, you know, Earthshaker ended up going for 3, I think he had 3, maybe 4 clarities there. He was getting ready to drop out a lot of these fissures to try and get kills, because when you're going up against the sort of aggressive lane, you want to make sure that you're able to punish that somewhat, and already with 1 kill there, they're able to make it happen.
Yeah, so now it's going to be a little bit more difficult for ESB to make anything happen on that top lane. It seems like Dazzle is just going to say, screw it, I'm leaving you, Huskar, to your own devices up towards top. And yeah, I mean, Dazzle being there that time didn't really help him out. Next time it certainly will. Up down towards bottom lane, PP puts up the cogs. Perfect timing. Getting a double bump back, in fact. The cast was mid-cast animation, so Esco probably could have gotten the kill there. At least a lot of free damage into the Clockwork, just as good. But 1-0 for Team AFK, and now we see Slander and Cartman both on the roam. You know, for right now, just going to grab a double damage room for the Wind Ranger, but Bane and Earthshaker, they offer a lot of control when you're setting up for like the power shot, and then Wind Ranger's just simple damage follow-up. There's a lot of upside there, especially if they see Cold Demons. There's the Fissure, the Shackle. What? Are you kidding me? How the hell did that connect?
Physics, man. It's a rough subject.
I don't even... You saw that, right? Like, the arrow was pretty much right.
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous. Dota 2 Reborn is what we're at. I think that was just the change of location.
Fake God is going to run into another Fissure. This time Juggernaut is going to close in. Cartman's sitting in the tower. He's going to roast, and he may very well die. Nightmare is there, which will save him from a little bit of damage, but not enough. Roasted cow, that's what's for dinner. But still, trading your Earthshaker for a Huskar, pretty sure AFK are going to be okay with that. Bane and Earthshaker being absolute menaces to the mid lane and top lane, and still bottom lane. Clockwork is doing extraordinarily well. He's level 5 minutes in the game, and, well, not too far away from level 6 either.
The other thing here that was so key about, honestly, letting Dazzle die there, I think that was worth it, because you had 3 heroes rotating over towards the mid lane, and I'm pretty sure they would have been able to get a kill on that Storm Spirit, because he was about 200 to 300 EXP away from picking up his level 6. And I think that probably the Dazzle realized that this was going to happen, and because of that, he ended up rotating over to the mid lane, checking to see if there were any type of wards in the area, and then he ended up probably not wanting to die there, but at least making sure that he was able to keep an eye on it, because that's the time window where you want to try and come and gank Storm, is right before he ends up getting his level 6, because that's when he's sort of his weakest relative to everybody else on the map. And once he's gotten 6 now, he's significantly harder to gank.
Well, that being said, AFK do have quite a few tools to burst him down, especially if Wind Ranger lands any more of those bullshit shackles. They do have the hookshot up on the Clockwork. They have the ways of getting in. They have the ways of following up, especially with the Fissure. So, you know, Storm Spirit, though he's a lot safer now, is not completely safe, especially, you know, well, not right now, actually, up towards top lane is where the heroes are going to be in a little bit of trouble. Huskar applying some pressure to the Juggernaut, but Juggernaut's ready to fight back. He's going to start spinning straight forward onto Fake God. He's going to get hit with the power shot and the Fissure. Gets graved up this time. Heal is there, but he has no HP, and he gets shackled to a very far away creep. That's going to be a kill on the Huskar. Looks like the Dazzle will slip away, but still, 4 heroes rotating in for AFK. It's an expensive kill, but still a kill that's well worth their time.
Definitely. You want to be able to shut down that Huskar. We saw it last game, actually. The same exact thing happened pretty much, where Huskar didn't end up getting off to a pretty good start, and throughout the whole rest of the game, he was pretty gimped up. Clockwork actually goes down to the Witch Doctor. Very nicely done. Call down used in conjunction with bongos, as well as, I'm assuming, a rocket barrage and some flat cannon. So nicely done there to be able to pick off that Clockwork before he's able to move around the map at all and get anything done. Probably sitting a little bit lower as well, trying to get the most out of that regen rune that he had bottled up, but unfortunately ended up paying the price for it.
And just the burst combo that's down in this bottom lane for ESB, it is very substantial if it's able to land, and so far it's been cogged out every single time. Clockwork didn't have cogs that time, and then at that point, he's, you know, a tanky hero, but not a hero that can withstand all that damage from especially that gyrocopter. So it is a pretty useful kill there for ESB down on the bottom lane, but still the Clockwork's going to go right back down there, keep getting experience, maybe a little bit of extra cash towards power treads, blade mail, that type of thing. Then once he hits level 8, he's going to be more inclined to leave the lane and actually see where he could go as far as getting kills is concerned. So it's still AFK with the lead in this game. So far, this Huskar is not really working out. It's not really the Huskar's prime yet necessarily, but man, picking up Huskar this early, we could see already how it's kind of biting ESB in the ass. Now that the Omni Slash is up, Huskar is going to get even weaker still.
Yeah, they're going to be able to have a tough time up there, and it looks like, especially if you consider the place that Juggernaut's at right now. He's got Omni Slash. If they end up rotating into this top lane yet again with another hero, they can certainly get a kill on him. All they need is one fissure on top of him without a ton of creeps nearby, and that's going to beat it. It looks like there might be something getting ready to brew down in the bot lane. Fissure ends up connecting with the gyrocopter there. Battery Assault as well. That's the call down, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Pew 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 might actually go down here. Nightmare to save his life, and then the Shadow Wave yet again doesn't end up getting the kill with the hook shot. Unfortunately, now Slander needs to run away. We're also going to see Cartman go down as well, maybe one more time. Shallow Grave coming out as well, and the Storm Spirit picks off the Bane as well. Complete and total disaster for that gank. Not at all what they wanted to have happen, and the Dazzle sticking around, able to keep that gyrocopter around and alive, and that's why they keep the two of them together.
It's just AFK disrespecting the gyrocopter. You clump up with the Rocket Barrage, or with the call down rather. Rocket Barrage hitting only onto that Clockwork, the tankiest target, so it's the hero that you want to bring down first, or I mean the hero that you could easily reach first. Bane, Earthshaker, they do a decent amount of damage later on, but right now, kind of not as much so. So the gyrocopter, yeah, he got dropped pretty low from the initial barrage, was able to withstand that, and now with the Ring of Aquila, Morbid Mask, and Power Treads to boot, it's going to be even more difficult for AFK to repeat that. They're probably not going to try again. They're going to instead go for top lane. Omni Slash is prepped for Fake God. 1, 2, 3. No, it's actually going to bounce to Mowgli, who's going to get critted down. Not exactly the hero they wanted, but damn, it's a kill for an Omni Slash. Can't really be too upset about that. As 5 for 5, the kill score is now drawn up, but Esco 2-0-2 right now. Very comfortably lasting on this bottom lane. Still not even on top of the net worth, however.
Yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a tough lane. I do think that they might try and dive here for this Huskar potentially. We did see the Soul Ring picked up and used by the Earthshaker. It looks like he wanted to try and find an opening there, but still a little bit too far away. But 4 heroes here. Nice fissure ends up connecting there. Fate got in a little bit of trouble. Shackle ends up connecting. That's going to be a dead Huskar. Absolutely no problem. Really, really well played by that Wind Ranger. And with all the heroes up here for the Dire, except for that Clockwork, that was definitely going to be a kill.
Very narrow fissure block as well, so, you know, kind of Cartman's redeeming himself from that first botched fissure. The Wind Ranger also doing a hell of a lot of damage. Like, this is phase boots and 2 null talismans, which is usually like, you know, maybe 1 talisman for a Wind Ranger. It does slow down her core items, whether it's a Force Staff or an Aghanim Scepter or a Blink Dagger, any of those, but in that scenario, when you're just dealing with a Huskar who's shackled to a tree, you need physical damage. You need as much as you can get. Pew Pew gonna run into Fozzie right now. Puts up the cogs, traps the Storm Spirit for a little while, but he's gonna slip away after having grabbed that kill. And Slander's a little bit too slow to income, and so even if he did, he has no grip. So it's gonna be kills traded across the board, 6-6. After all is said and done, however, it is the Dire side. It is AFK to grab the first tower, so that is going to give them a little bit more momentum in this game.
Yeah, it's been really, really even back and forth. I still do think that I like Team AFK's draft a little bit better. They've got a really solid game plan, I think. The problem that they might end up running into is the Storm Spirit again, but they have a lot of stuns here. So a lot of control for him to be able to take care of them. If you get a Nightmare on the Storm Spirit in this mid game and he's just sort of able to stay out of the fight, you can deal with him at the end of it. I think that that's really going to be what they're looking for as we move into the mid game, as well as making sure that he doesn't just get a free Bloodstone. They need to try and make a gank on the Storm Spirit somewhat of a priority, and we'll see if they end up doing that.
Yeah, Fozzie's farming very comfortably right now, and he's a little bit more explosive than the likes of Juggernaut and well, maybe sometimes the Wind Ranger, but he definitely can have a lot more of a higher impact if he's in the right place at the right time. Once they get the grip, it'll be a lot easier to deal with that Storm Spirit. It's Bane up at the top lane, going to get a little bit of solo experience right now, so he should have that one pretty soon. Plus, they have the initiation from the Blinking Wind Ranger, so the answers are coming up in spades here for Team AFK. They just have to make sure that they actually connect with the answers. Fozzie's job at this point, just buy a little bit of extra space from this Huskar, who does need a little bit of recovery time. There's a whole bunch of items in his inventory, but not anything that's actually like a real item.
Yeah, he's kind of poor right now.
Power treads, phase boots.
He's got the Power Treads phase boots, classic build by the Huskar. 3,000 net worth right now, pretty low, almost just about even with the Clockwork. Storm Spirit though starting to go a little bit ham, was able to take out that Earthshaker. Not an easy kill, it's got to be said. Earthshaker relatively tanky and does have a lot of those disables, but still able to get taken out there with only the Soul Ring as well as the Brown Boots though. It kind of makes sense. He doesn't even have 6 actually. I was expecting him to be a little bit more farmed than that.
Level 11 Storm Spirit versus a level 5 any hero. I'll put my money on the Storm Spirit pretty much every single time. So Storm just finds a good opening on that Shaker, grabs a free kill, and gets a little bit closer to his Bloodstone Tower. Now going to take some chip damage. Wind Ranger does have her Blink Dagger and is actually going to reveal it over in the mid lane, so it's no longer a surprise for ESB, and it looks like they're actually unable to make any sort of play in. They know what happens last time when they went for that Gyrocopter kill. With the same group of heroes, with the Gyrocopter having a little bit more farm, it's a little bit better for the Gyrocopter, obviously. But in the meantime, LMGD runs into the secret shop, finds an enemy courier, and is able to slice it down. Don't know who that was actually for, but got him.
It was the Storm Spirit sending it on up there to try and see if he could get his health booster. But unfortunately, that ended up getting taken out, as you saw. I will say that this Wind Ranger build right here, this is kill Huskar build. Just straight up. You got the Null Tally. She had a second Null Tally there, but trading it out has Phase Boots and the Wand now, and they're going to go right on in for a Blink and trying to hit the Shackle, I'm sure. Shackle does end up hitting on that creep. Really nicely done. Fake God ends up going down. Excellent, excellent Shackles by this Wind Ranger, and a couple that defy physics as well.
And that's going to lead to a very easy Huskar kill with no Omni Slash being needed there. So, Juggernaut doesn't have that one even, so that wasn't even an option. But Huskar continuously having a bad time is slowly approaching his armlet. And it's slowly approaching, and slow being the operative word. Eventually, yeah, he will have it, but if AFK get the jump on him like that, if the Bane is there for the Brain Sap, it's going to be a lot faster of a kill for the AFK side, who are, by the way, smoked up, wrapping around the enemy jungle. See an empty camp, see a secondary empty camp, just follow the camps and you're going to run to someone. They see Esco, do they? No, they blow the smoke, blink forward, Shackle going to land, and they have a fissure, they have a Brain Sap and a grip. Esco is completely screwed here. Okay, maybe the hook shot and the grip was a little bit too much, but got him anyway. That's a kill.
That's when you do the got him, or if you're the Gyrocopter, you send out the question mark to all chat. Sanj and Yasha recipes up for the Gyrocopter, so he was able to actually buy out there. So that's pretty good there. Just going to make sure that he doesn't end up losing a ton of gold off of it. But LMGD, he's been able to farm pretty effectively. Does already have his Yasha, 1,300 gold, 1,400 now, and continuing to rise with the Mask of Madness and the Aquila. So I think that he's going to really be able to start going into a pretty solid position here. I'm curious if he's going to end up trying to go for a Manta or just go straight into that Sanj and Yasha. Do you have any idea there about what you feel like is the better build?
I think it's probably going to be an SNY. Oh, Fozzie's going to get shackled. There's no grip, but there's a Nightmare, and there's a Fissure. That's all they have to work with, or not. Oh. Never mind. Cast going to be thrown. It'll chain stun too, and by the Storm Spirit his escape. You don't really have anything to split out of necessarily. You get rid of the life break slow, and you can maybe dodge that, and there's some pretty good upside there for the Juggernaut, but that's about it. If the Orchid was being built up by the Storm Spirit first, then definitely go for Manta style over SNY, but it seems like SNY would be the safer decision for him, at least for the short term.
Yeah. Does have a TP being brought out as well. So Slander did end up picking up an urn as well. We do have on the Earthshaker the Tranquil Soul Ring, so he's happy as a clam. Clockwork is working on his Force Staff as well. Wind Ranger now trying to go for the Ags after picking on up that Blink Dagger to make sure she was able to get those kills continuously. Huskar still doesn't have his armlet at 16, about 17 minutes into it. This is going to be significantly late this time around. I mean, we already knew it was going to be the case, but I mean, there's times where you can get an armlet like real early at like 6 minutes if you end up going away from boots, but 17 minutes is pretty late.
I think we had a stat earlier today where it was like 9-10 minutes the average, mostly because Huskar just rush armlet, like no other items, that's what they want, but yeah, this is going to be a lot slower than that. Fozzie Trying to go for Pew Pew down towards the bottom lane, unable to actually give chase enough. Now here comes Slander. They do have a hook shot in 1 second. They have vision for the power shot. Fozzie's going to interrupt with the battery assault. Now he's going to hit with the grip and the fissure. I think this grip is going to last long enough. Well, if that doesn't, the shackle sure as hell will. Fozzie going to fall. That was a battery assault to interrupt the ball lightning out. I don't think I've ever seen that before, and it gives them the kill. In the meantime, they lose a tier 1 tower. LMGD pushing up towards top lane. Should be able to just get out of here. Spin TP. They have nothing to interrupt that. Life break. What was that? Okay, that was weird. But either way, Juggernaut going to apply some pressure. It's going to be a tower for a Storm Spirit kill. AFK, well, really, it's both sides should be okay with that, kind of, but not super happy.
You know, the thing that was also so key about that kill on that Storm Spirit was he just finished his Bloodstone. So now he's down to 5 charges. And that is absolutely huge right now. It does look like he's going for Robe of the Magi. So Orchid looks to be the next item, interestingly enough. It kind of makes sense here. He wants to be able to potentially kill a lot of these heroes. And many of them have pretty quick escapes if they do end up getting it off. Wind Run, a key one for Wind Ranger, obviously. For Juggernaut, the Blade Fury. On the, a little initiation down here is going to end up connecting. That's going to be a lot of damage onto the Earthshaker, and he ends up getting taken out by the Death Ward. Jumping forward yet again, this is going to be a Gyrocopter taking on out the Bane also. So very nicely done. Sanjin and Yasha now picked up on the Gyrocopter as well. A couple key kills, and we're back up tied at 9 apiece.
Now we're seeing the effects of Storm Spirit with no pressure starting to go off. Like, he doesn't even have his Orchid yet. He doesn't have anything that makes him, you know, a really aggressive hero. He just has enablers for his base kit, and that's really all you need is a Storm Spirit. Esco has the tankiness to follow up that Storm Spirit very comfortably, not to mention the fact that they have a Dazzle and Witch Doctor behind them. Just going to go in for a straight push, AFK. They have an Echo Slam at the ready. They're going to teleport in this Juggernaut. He has his Manta Style as his item of choice. Jump forward, looking for a Shackle. Will connect onto Fozzie. But can they really go into that many heroes? LMGD is going to try. He will Omni Slash to prevent his death for a little while. Not long enough. Here comes the Echo Slam. He's going to try to get in there. Does a lot of damage to Dazzle. In fact, gets the kill. But Fake God will turn around and kill him off. Straight after, Power Shot will kill off Fake God in response. Mowgli is going to drop very low. He will fall with another 2-man Shackle coming out from Mom G. He'll kill off that Storm Spirit. Now they're onto Esco. Wind running forward, they have another Shackle in just 1 second. Nightmare going to fade. Shackle is being held for right now. Actually, no, it actually failed. And Esco should be able to slip away. It's a 3-for-4 trade. I expected that to go a lot better for ESB, but yeah, especially with that Juggernaut dropping so low and forced to use the Omni Slash kind of defensively. But the Shackles from the Wind Ranger, that was the salvage of AFK.
Honestly, it was. Those were so freaking solid, those Shackles. Bane came in a little bit late, wasn't able to do a ton, but was able to make his presence felt, soak up a little bit of damage from that for that Wind Ranger, rather, when the Gyrocopter ended up turning and man-fighting her. And across the board, I just felt like the Wind Ranger has really been keeping Team AFK together. They've been doing a great job of making sure she gets the key kills on Huskars. The Shackles have been coming right when they needed to. Mom G playing it exactly the way that they need her to. Slander walking into a Storm Spirit in the middle of the river. Not what you want to have happen when he's at full mana.
Not a big deal, though. Everyone going to walk away. Mom G clearly comfortable with his Archer heroes. Clink's previous did quite a bit of work. I think that was also versus ESB, and now it's the Wind Ranger. And he's very close to that Aghanims as well. If you keep landing those Shackles, man, Fozzie's going to have a rough time, but he's going to run straight to Slander. No, Slander, not this time. Pew Pew's just going to leave him to die. He's like, yeah, good luck, bro. It's all you. Actually, the Bane lives for a lot longer than I thought he would, but yeah, he's dead anyway. We actually do see a couple more targets over in the mid lane. They can make a jump for it. They have an Observer Ward spotting out Pew Pew, but Fozzie doesn't really have backup right behind him. It's kind of nearby, but not close enough.
Yeah, Huskar is going up and pushing on the top lane, so they could have, if they grouped together, tried to make something happen. It would have been a 4 versus 3, and now they're going to end up pushing on down this top tier 1 here. I wouldn't be surprised to see the rest of the Dire try to group together and take down the tier 1 in the bot lane either, and then they can try and force the fight. I think that might be what they're going to try and do here. They don't want to necessarily have to go and defend this one up top because they're not going to be there in time. And actually going for Roshan, didn't even see that over there. Really, really smart. And trading a Roche for tier 1, worth it every day of the week. We do have a rotation over now by the Storm Spirit. I think he realizes what's going on, and they're going to have to be careful. The rest of the Radiant over here as well, they might end up being able to come on in here and steal this. Roche up there is not able to get it, though. Juggernaut ends up picking it up. Fonzie goes down pretty quickly. There's the call down on top of several different heroes. Momji takes him lots of damage. damage as well. There's the Fiend's Grip on top of the Gyrocopter, keeping him alive a little bit longer. They are able to Shallow Grave him, keeping him alive a little bit longer. Huskar takes off, is able to jump on top of Slander, but he's going to Nightmare himself, stay alive a little bit longer. Now we're going to see the Juggernaut trying to run up again. He did actually go for Manta in the end, doesn't have another Omni Slash back up, and Storm Spirit going absolute crazy, able to take the Bane out, able to take the Wind Ranger out. The Jug is the only one left alive, and honestly, if he sticks around too much longer, he's not going to be either. Complete and total destruction for Team AFK.
Nice Aegis, Juggernaut. Storm Spirit made the kind of clumsy jump in, was unable to grab that Aegis, but you know what? The Gyrocopter was in the literally perfect position. Right at the mouth of the Roche Pit. 3 heroes in the middle of everything, and that's a call down, that's Rocket Barrage, that's Flat Cannon. And with not enough damage to actually go for that Gyrocopter immediately, since he is just so damn tanky, Team AFK just fall to bits. They do eventually, you know, get the grip on the Gyrocopter. It looks like they have a chance, but by that time, it's just all over. Storm Spirit grabs an Ultra Kill. Now he's up to 11 Bloodstone charges and has the Orchid to boot. And now they're just going to crack right back into the Tier 1 tower. AFK, they do have all the heroes up. Aghanim Scepter up on the Wind Ranger is also very important, but they're not going to be able to mobilize in time to defend this, and now with the Weave especially, they shouldn't want to go and defend this. I'd be very surprised if they actually make a jump in. Storm Spirit has an illusion here, which may or may not bait some skills. Fissure first of all, Shackle, no angle there actually. Fozzie's going to run into the Juggernaut. Death Ward is going to be channeled as well. LMGD going to lose his Aegis immediately. Shackle going to be thrown, will connect, but it's Pew Pew in the middle of Cogs right now, and that's not a good place to be. LMGD is going to revive into 3 heroes. Also not a good place to be. Just trying to get a kill on Fate God. Another 2-man Shackle. 4-man Fissure, but it's just not good enough. Big jump in from Fozzie is going to grab the problem, grab the Wind Ranger, and kill off this Shaker with a very long range attack as well. He has a little bit more mana. Does he want to go for Slander? Has no pull. Looks like he will call it quits. But it's another 4-for-1 exchange in favor of ESB. This game was looking pretty good for AFK, and then that Roshan fight happened.
Oh my goodness, it's so disheartening. Honestly, Jug didn't have a TP up for him, so he had to walk on back, but he walked right to the mid lane, had Omni Slash up in another 12 seconds, but just wasn't able to get it off in time. Storm Spirit initiated and he's going to go on top of Bane yet again. Now he's just picking on him. That's going to end up being a kill here in 1 second. Could have left it for the Orchid burn for style points, but opting to take the sure thing, and that's a lane of racks right off the bat here, 24 minutes into this game.
I always say if you lose Rax's 20 minutes in, that's a death sentence. There's no coming back from that. 24 minutes, it's not necessarily that automatic, but it's definitely not looking too good, especially since it seems like ESB also on their way out grab a 3-stack of Ancients, I believe. I don't really know how many there were there, but rest assured, there were a lot of units there, a lot of gold potential there for AFK. They have a Juggernaut, they have a Wind Ranger. These are heroes that can hold a lane of super creep without too much of an issue. But with the momentum now from ESB, with the amount of cash they're getting after that previous fight, like they have an Ultimate Orb on the Gyrocopter, and so that can build into any number of things. They have what looks like a Halberd being built up on the Huskar, and if you could get rid of the Juggernaut or the Wind Ranger with the Disarm, yeah, you're going to be feeling pretty happy about yourself here, the Huskar. And Storm Spirit has another 2,500. This is going to be a rough couple minutes for AFK. They just lost their Raxes. They're at the very least going to lose these tier 2s, and then ESB may even want to go for a little bit more.
Yeah, this is, you mentioned it, and picking up all of these items, I mean, you take a look at the net worth graph right now, it is a steep slope. That is definitely what we're taking a look at. 12k net worth lead right now. In terms of EXP as well, it's looking very similar story at about 10k, and they're taking down the tier 2s. Honestly, there's nothing to stop them here for the tier 3s. Who is going to be back in time to be able to defend against this? Wind Ranger is trying to push here, as well as the Juggernaut. They're not going to be able to be here to defend against this. Tier 3 is about to go down relatively quickly, I think. I really don't think that they're going to be able to stop this in time. Maybe with a Shackle, there's a potential. Clockwork is going to hook on in a second here, but they have everybody by the buy right ready to defend against it and back up their carries. That's a Blink Dagger on an Earthshaker. That's pretty huge. Maybe they're going to be able to defend against this. Weave goes down, keeping him alive a little bit longer. There's the hook shot in on top of the creeps as well as Fozzie. He ends up getting caught out, but he actually gets Fiend's Grip as well. Really, really solid there. Slander's going to end up going down as well, though, and that's going to end up being Huskar just starting to go ham on top of this Juggernaut. He ends up taking a ton of damage off to the side as well. The Healing Ward doesn't end up being enough to keep him alive. Mom G is going down also. And oh my goodness gracious, 5-man team wipe at the end of this. Absolutely disgusting.
Wind Ranger had a Shackle on Fozzie, had a full Focus Fire, and just was unable to kill out the Storm Spirit. She just didn't do enough damage. Mowgli's level 4 Voodoo Restoration kept the Storm Spirit up at like 150 HP or something like that. And of course, Fake God and Escort just going off all the while. Team AFK chose a really awkward time to go for that push since Weave was just applied. Everyone had, by the time the fight started, at least +7 armor on everyone. That was, of course, just increasing as the fight grew older. And ESB, they take that Roshan fight, take a couple more good consecutive ones, and AFK, they just need to get more pickoffs. Like, if they had a Blink Dagger on Shaker, maybe they would have a better chance. If they got a couple more pickoffs, they would have that Blink Dagger on Shaker. But instead, it's just a massive team fight disaster, as mostly the Gyrocopter and Storm Spirit to just win those fights for ESB. Oh, they do have Blink Dagger on Shaker.
They got it right at the very end there. Yeah, it was the last pickup before the team fight, but they weren't able to make enough of it. Really solid game, though.
Alright guys, so ESB are going to get some revenge on AFK, I think knocking them out. And that is going to mean that we're done for today. It's been a long one, guys. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. There's more to come on this channel, so yeah, be sure to keep your eyes open for that. Be sure to follow us on Twitter, myself, at Mikelorus, for my co-caster, at Lyrical Gangster, spelled like it is on the screen right now with an E instead of a 3. And yeah, we'll be back in some capacity, probably tomorrow. See you later, guys. GG.